Are we seeing the downfall of Airbnb? Our cabin that has been booked in the Smoky Mountains from about 85 to 95% occupancy year-round is just not occupied at all. Our prices right now for a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom cabin overlooking the Smoky Mountains is less than a hotel, and I have to beg people to come to my cabin right now. Like you guys have seen me, I've been hustling, posting videos for January and February. We had 3 stays in January, and there is only 1 stay coming up here in February, and then our next stay is not till March 10th. I've had plenty of you reach out to me by DM and receive a quote, knowing it's our lowest prices of the season, but I am getting no bites. And I'm legitimately asking, why? What is going on? What am I missing here? And in our cabin in particular, we have prided ourselves, is that a word? In the last 4 years, we have not gotten lower than $100,000 in gross income rental fees. Our competitors with 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom cabins, between 60 and 70 gross. We're a super host on Airbnb. We have all the accolades you can imagine. We have a great social media following. So I'm thinking, if I'm struggling to fill my cabin, I know there are others. So then I'm also asking, like, why? What's going on? And then I'm thinking, as a host, what can I do even more to fill up my cabin? You know, the economy, like eggs, for example, are out of this world right now. Are just people not traveling? Are you guys waiting until the summer? I'm telling you, I can't lower my prices, it feels like, even more, to be less than what you would find in a hotel. And I'm not necessarily what you call nervous, like we're gonna make things work, but the trend that I'm seeing, you guys aren't biting, and you guys gotta coach me up. Like, why? What can I do different to make you come to my cabin? I know all of you love the Smoky Mountains, and I feel like my prices are fair. Is it because I allow up to 8 people and people don't want to travel with you? Is it Airbnb in general, or just short-term rentals where you guys just find it ick and you don't want to go to it and you just want a hotel? Or maybe it's me and my listing just isn't aesthetic enough. I don't know what it is. But I know if I'm seeing this decline, other people are too.
Where do you stay when you travel? Are you a hotel person or are you an Airbnb person? Honestly, Airbnb hosts are complaining. However, if you ask me, I feel like they are making someone do the things that they were still doing at home compared to the hotel where you just lodge, you pay, and everything is done for you. So I don't know why the Airbnb business is failing right now, but from these commentaries, I want to believe that the hosts are doing too much. Right now, comparing to prices, Airbnbs are actually expensive, and you have to pay for cleaning as well. So I think people are looking at that, and it's just not making sense. So are you a hotel person or are you an Airbnb person? I would love to hear your opinion. Comment down below. I'm reading all the comments, okay? And please subscribe to this channel if you haven't. I'm so glad to have you in this community. Watch.
Hotels are 1,000 times better than Airbnbs. You show up to an Airbnb for a weekend, there's a binder full of rules when you get there. No smoking inside, clean up after yourself, no stains on the towels. And then when you leave, they charge you a cleaning fee to clean the place. You go to a hotel, you show up, there's a box of chocolates there waiting for you, and the only thing that it says is, "Enjoy your stay, Mr. Bonnier, have a great time." Why would you pay money for a cleaning fee when the Airbnb already has rules to not get the place dirty, and you have to clean up before the cleaners even come, or else you're going to get charged extra? You show up to a hotel room, you could do literally whatever you want. You can use as many towels as you want. You can request more towels. You can leave a mess. Don't leave a mess if you're a civilized human being, but you can leave it a little dirty and just walk out, and you won't get charged extra. They'll say, "Thank you for your stay. Thank you for your hospitality. Come back to Marriott sometime soon." Airbnb owners are the most entitled people in the world. Hey, pay all this money and then pay us an extra cleaning fee, and don't get it dirty in the first place. Hotel supremacy over Airbnbs all day long.
So I saw a video asking why has Airbnb started to fail, and ding ding ding, I know the answer. You turn your guests into employees. I gotta take the trash out. I gotta take the trash to the street. I gotta put the dishes in the dishwasher and start that bit. I gotta take the sheets off the bed, take them downstairs, put them in the washing machine, and start that as well. The list of rules be longer than the concierge suggestions. How is that going to work for me? And then on top of that, there's not a lot of brand partnerships that are beneficial to the stayer. Like at least if I stay at the Marriott, I can get a discount on Lyft rides. At least I can merge that together. Hilton has a merger with Delta Airlines, I think Uber or something like that. Like, y'all don't have no discounts. There's no point system. There's no book 11, get the 30th, book 11, get the 12th one 30% off. And the only thing that was keeping Airbnb competitive was the fact that it was cheaper than a hotel. But that's not the case anymore. Like, I've got a Charlotte trip coming up, got to do a conference or whatever. And I'm looking at the stuff and I'm like, how am I going to split these 4 days up because I have to be in 2 cities within 4 days? And it's like, I'm just going to do hotels and collect my points and put it towards something else because they don't really have anything to incentivize me to stay at an Airbnb. There's not even additional security. So that's why. Oh, and another thing, y'all, PR has been down the drain because every 4 to 6 weeks is some type of video of some irate owner kicking out, coincidentally, black people out of the Airbnb. That's why.
My biggest business failure to date has easily been Airbnb. And I know a lot of us got caught up, you know what I mean, in the whole COVID wave and just like a lot of different businesses. Everybody was making money and it looked good. But I want you to know, I've been in real estate going on 10 years. And the strategy that I used to purchase our Airbnbs was solid. Like, we used the BRRRR strategy and it worked out. But I think my biggest lesson and something that I constantly struggle with in life is going slow with things. Like, once I have an idea, I am an action taker. So the first year that we got into Airbnb, I bought 7 properties. 7 properties, guys. 7. 3 duplexes and a beach house. Like, I just went full force. And at the time, my idea was like, if I can BRRRR these properties and cash out, and I bought them so cheap and I can cash flow, if I could just get to $10,000 a month residual, that would be amazing, right? The biggest thing that I didn't account for is how much work that would take. And I'm not scared of work. Like, the whole getting the properties, fixing them up, getting them, you know, refinanced, that was the easy part. Like, I flipped, at the time, you know, we were flipping 20 plus homes, right? And that's another downside though, right? Because I had this massive business that was making good money and I went over here to start something new. And it looked flashy, guys. I got caught up in shiny object syndrome. And so, yeah, we got 2 of the duplexes, right? 4 properties renovated and on Airbnb, and the beach house. The last duplex, that's a whole nother story. I'll have to do a video on that. We ended up basically just losing like $30,000 on this damn project that we never even got up on Airbnb, but I'll make a separate video in that. But long story short, we got the business up. I got it running. I mean, you know, with having those 5 properties, at the time, we were grossing right around $5,000 to $6,000 a month, netting $2,000 to $3,000, right? So it was really good, but that's when the market was good and everybody had money and everybody was traveling. And what happened is a rise in arbitrage, right? Where people would rent out apartments and then put them on Airbnb. And then I had a lot of friends, you know, doing Airbnb at the time. And what I didn't account for is just that how many things that could go wrong when you have that many properties on top of all, you know, this other business that I have. And you can't control the guests. The guests are going to be extra needy. Airbnb's business model turned from serving the host to then serving the guest. And I'm all about people getting taken care of. As a person who comes from working in hospitality for years, like, that was another thing that like drew me into Airbnb. It was like running a hospitality business. But as a person who works a lot during the week and then spends his weekends with his family, or tries to as much as I can as an entrepreneur, it took away a lot of that. And like, I remember times where I would just be getting calls at 2 a.m., like people who had bad flights and couldn't get in the house. And not that they couldn't get in the house, they just weren't looking at all the systems that we had set up. Like, you would get your code 3 or 4 ways and people just wouldn't look. It was easier to just call me and bitch and complain at 2, 3 in the morning than it was to figure out the fucking code. And so all of that to say, over the last over those two years that we really ran the business, or year and probably 8 months, it was just, it started out great and then it tanked, right? The market changed. A couple of the properties we went to refinance and we couldn't get the rates that we thought, even though the deal was so good. Lenders weren't willing to take a chance, right? So I had to restructure loans with my lenders, and so that cost us money, and then just all the problems that came with Airbnb. And I remember, like, when we were selling the beach house property, we still have a couple of them that are rented out and we're trying to sell them. But one of the last days, like, bookings that we took on Airbnb, somebody let a gun off. These young kids, they were like 21. They weren't kids, they were adults, but they let a gun off in our house. And no, it was a nice residential neighborhood, like right by the beach. Luckily, by the grace of God, no one got hurt. The neighbors never called the cops, and we figured out the situation. But the craziest part is that we were showing the property. So I had a showing the next day, and I had like bullet holes. They shot through one of my TVs. And like, being an entrepreneur, I got all that shit fixed within like 6 hours. Like, it's insane. And we ended up selling the property to that buyer. But man, Airbnb, I mean, there's so many other stories that I have, but as an entrepreneur, you try shit and you learn from your mistakes. And for me, this lesson was, number one, go slow, right? Like, we should have just got one property and tested it, and maybe just one of the duplexes or the beach house, right? Number two, you know what I'm saying, is stay focused, right? We already had something that was working, and I went over here to a big distraction, right? So shiny object syndrome, which we all through the COVID era got caught in some of it. I mean, I even got one of my lenders into Airbnb. Like, that's how sold I was on it, because it was doing so good originally. And then, the third lesson is just, some things are hindsight 2020, right? Some things you can't predict. The market definitely didn't help us by any means, but that is the risk we take as entrepreneurs and investors. And, a lot of things, I just look at it as tuition, right? You learn those lessons and you use it, moving forward. But I would never do the hospitality business like that again at scale, just the problems. And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, well, why didn't you do this? And why didn't you do that? Like, at the time, I did what was best with the knowledge that I had.
Airbnb hosts are on here complaining about, no one wanting to book their properties or anything like that. And it made me think about a lot of business models that aren't, thriving like they used to be. Of course, people get on here and talk about Instagram and how it's like a monitoring spirit and there's no engagement. That's because Instagram became something that was never intended to be. Like, it was supposed to be a app, full of taking pictures and weird filters, and then it became like this aesthetic focus, everyone's a celebrity app. Airbnb started out to be a cheap alternative to hotels and resorts, but you got above yourself. And one thing that never understood to me, you started letting the hosts make the price and the fees, like adding cleaning fees and all. Who wants to go on vacation? Like, the problem is, when you started letting hosts control the fees, people really started realizing it's not convenient. At a hotel, there's the convenience of the front desk. It might be free breakfast, free concierge. Maybe they'll order you, have the information that you might need for a car service, that type of thing. With Airbnbs, some of these, they want you to clean. They tell you can't have people over to your own Airbnb. They have cameras in weird places. They're monitoring you like you're a child. You have become the big brother nobody wanted. So, and that's just to go for Airbnb and Instagram. There's a lot of businesses that are claiming to be suffering, but you've gotten away from your business model, to say nothing of the fact the economy sucks. So you got a bad business model, the economy already sucks, and you're wondering why you're struggling. Get back to it.
I prefer a hotel to an Airbnb. That's just my vibe. But my son hit me. He's like, yo, we're going to LA. He's like, yo, let's stay at a B&B. I'm like, all right, send it over. A modern Hollywood charm, beautiful gowns, beautiful. Very fair price of $383 a night. 3 bedrooms. Now, it is actually cheaper and fiscally more responsible to stay at a B&B. So I'm on board. I'm like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. Then I changed my mind. So the price, $383 a night for 3 nights, is $1,150. I'm like, all right, calm, cool. Cleaning fee, $380. Airbnb service fee. $216. Taxes. $223.50. Bringing the grand total to $1,970 cash. We're talking damn near $900 in fees. Father, we're straying. Please bring us back on this path. Now, I already don't like B&Bs like that. I just feel it's not my thing. Somebody tell me how that makes sense. B&B, logically speaking, how do we go from something that's $300 something a night? That should be around $900 to a man. How the fuck do we end up at $2,000?
These Airbnb hosts are going to ruin it for the rest of us. It's a real ugly trend going on now where we're checking in at 4 and checking out at 10. My friend is coming to Miami and her check-in time is 5 p.m. Y'all thought men had the audacity? It's really the Airbnb hosts. We do have an Airbnb and it does take the 4 hours that is in between the normal check-in times to clean up the place. But checking out at 10, that's crazy. Some hosts are losing sight of the hospitable part of hospitality, right? Like, it's not hospitable to have me to get out at the ass crack of dawn. Boycott those Airbnb hosts and only support the ones that are actually going to give you a decent time to check out.
I feel like I've seen some posts here and there of people talking about why they won't be using Airbnb anymore. And I just want to share an experience I had from a few months ago on why I personally will not use Airbnb ever again. Well, maybe not ever again, because I do feel like it's beneficial if you have like large groups of people, but I will definitely think twice before I ever book one again. So a few months ago, I did a solo trip to Charleston, South Carolina, and I booked a guest house. And I will say right now that was my mistake. I shouldn't have done that, and I will take responsibility for that. When I arrived at Charleston, it was 40 degrees and I get to this guest house, but it was definitely more of a converted shed. I think stuff like that is actually really cute. And if it's, done well, it can lead to a really unique experience. And I love stuff like that. But this was not done well. It said guest house, but it was just a converted shed and it wasn't well done. When I arrived, it was 40 degrees and I have Raynaud syndrome. So it's not serious, but my hands can feel very frostbitten basically so easily, and I could not warm up. I had come from Asheville, driven from Asheville. I was freezing. I was just looking forward to being warm in Charleston, getting to my Airbnb, being warm and cozy, and that did not happen. They had this little heating and cooling unit because it was a very small unit. So, but this thing was not doing a good job heating up the guest house. Around the unit, I could also see outside. It was not properly insulated or sealed. I could also see the same thing around the door. So when I'm sitting here trying to get this place to warm up and I see where all this air is coming from and why I'm so cold, I was really frustrated. I did message the host. She tried to be really understanding and helpful, but didn't really give me much. She was also super apologetic about the fact that they didn't have any TV in the place, and I told her it was super okay. She said it was her first booking. She didn't know how to make the remote work. She said someone would come by and try to fix it. No one ever came. I said I was okay with it at first, but then as I'm trying to relax in between doing activities and stuff like that, I had nothing to do. I was just sitting there in an empty, cold Airbnb. Then there was bugs, another bug, and I saw 2 more bugs crawl right underneath the door into the closet area that was right inside the door. Because I said, this place was not properly insulated or sealed. Also, the first day I came, it smelled very strongly of paint. But then after that, when that smell wore off, it smelled like a barn. It smelled like there was barn animals in this shed with me. The whole experience was just so uncomfortable and did not feel worth my money at all. Like I said, the host was apologetic and she said it was her first day, and I tried to be understanding of that, but I didn't want other people to book this under false pretenses, so I did have to leave a review. When I reached out and told her about the stay, she said that she would give me a partial refund if I changed my review, which I have not been able to figure out how to do. Maybe I'm stupid. Regardless of that, I did put in a formal review to Airbnb and they did absolutely nothing about it. Nothing. I didn't even receive a response.
We have been in bed all day grieving the loss of our dog, and then we get this email less than a month before our wedding telling us that the villa where our guests are staying has been canceled. And Airbnb offered me a $25 credit. A $25 credit for us to try to find a villa with 1 million rooms in it in Mexico less than a month before our wedding. So be warned about Airbnb, and then if you want to be petty, tag them, because we would love if they would help us with more than a $25 fucking credit. When it rains, it pours.
So the downfall of Airbnb is starting with slowing US demand, and honestly, it's not even hard to see why. Not only do hosts expect you to leave it spotless, but you also have to pay a cleaning fee. I mean, what's that about? Secondly, people are just getting too greedy. It's so expensive these days, and actually you can find a better hotel, usually by just going on booking.com, and you don't have to tidy up after yourself. But where I see Airbnb differentiating itself and turning itself around is by offering premium experiential listings. So maybe there's something completely unique that you can't get with a hotel room, and then maybe the host can offer you something unique or locally cultural to add to that experience. That's where I can see it differentiating itself from hotels, which is just book a room and then you do what you want. But would I buy the stock? No, because I wouldn't buy anything where profits are getting...
What I'm picking also is that hotels don't treat their guests as housekeepers. First of all, you get breakfast. You can use as many towels as you want. There's housekeepers. Front desk is always available to help you. However, on the other side, for Airbnb, you have to clean for yourself. Most of the time, you have to go through the apps whereby you might not find the owner of the house readily available, and it's very inconveniencing. Also, some hosts have put wrong pictures. It's like what I ordered versus what I got, so people get frustrated a lot. And I think I actually want to understand everybody's perspectives, but we can't deny the fact that they said Airbnbs were cheaper. But however, right now Airbnbs are way expensive. Consider you have to clean for yourself or pay the cleaning fees. You have to cook for yourself. You have to spray the bed clean. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't give vacation. It just gives like you've moved homes for a minute without help. Right? Let me know what you think. Thank you. See you next time.